Hello, my name is Rob Kistler and I'm the principal percussionist with the Akron Symphony Orchestra. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Mallet Percussion. That piece was by Johann Sebastian Bach and it was called Violin Sonata No. 2 in A minor. That movement is called Allegro, and in music, Allegro means fast. So as a percussionist, I strike with either mallets, sticks, my hands, or anything else, an instrument in order to make a musical sound. There are two main categories with percussion. There's non-pitched and pitched percussion. Non-pitched is something like this drum over here, where no matter what other way you hit it, with whatever instrument, whatever stick, it's going to make the same pitch. So, only going to make that one. However, on pitched instruments, we have a whole array of different notes that are going to make different tones. So today, we're going to talk about pitched instruments and more specifically, mallet percussion. So the four instruments I'd like to introduce you today are the marimba, xylophone, Glockenspiel, and Vibraphone. And we'll get to those three later in this video. So there are several other pitched instruments out there like chimes, kalimba, and glocken, but today we're just going to stick with these four mallet ones. So now the reason these are called mallet instruments is simply because you hit them with a mallet. So a mallet, you just take a stick, which we also call the shaft, and it's made out of different materials. This one right here is called rattan, and as you can see, it's quite flexible. Other materials, called birch or wood, is just a straight piece of wood that is not as flexible as the other one. Another material you could use is called carbon fiber, which is this black synthetic material which is slightly bendy and lightweight. The list goes on, but those are some examples. So the other part of the mallet is called the head, and the head up here has a core which is either in the shape of a ball or a disc, and like the shaft, it can be made with different materials. It can be made with brass, it can be made with aluminum. This has yarn wound around it. So, and again, it goes on and on. So basically, if you take a ball and put it at the end of a stick, you have a mallet. So a marimba mallet for this instrument is usually wrapped in yarn. And depending on how thick the yarn is, how loosely it's wound, or how tightly it's wound, will determine if it's a soft sort of attack or if it's a harder attack when the mallet makes contact with the bar. So here I have a softer wrapped mallet, and when I hit the bar, it sounds like this. Contrast that with this other mallet I have, which is a smaller head, thinner yarn, and more tightly wound, and it sounds like this. So, now that we know what a mallet is, let's talk about the instrument that we hit with these mallets. So this first one we're going to talk about today is called the marimba. And the name marimba comes from ancient Africa, from the language Bantu, and it means wood that sings. And so we have all these wooden bars, and they're made of rosewood, and they're suspended with this rope here over these tubes called resonators. Now the reason for the resonator is that it acts like a megaphone, where you talk into it and it makes your voice louder without you having to scream. If you take a bar by itself and you hit it not on a resonator, it sounds like this. But when you take the same bar and put it over one of the resonators of the marimba, it's going to be much louder, like this. So, the bars here are arranged in a specific way, and it's like a piano. And because of that, these mallet percussion instruments are often referred to as keyboard percussion. It's kind of like saying jumping and hopping. It's two words that generally mean the same thing. So one of the techniques we like to use is called 4-mallet technique. So the first piece I played for you is 2 mallets. 1 mallet in each hand, total of 2. But 4-mallet playing is you hold 2 mallets in each hand for a total of 4. Now there are a couple reasons for doing this. One is we could hit more notes at the same time, like this. Another reason is that we can hit more notes with less motion, like this. I could do those same notes with just 2 mallets, and it looks like this. But that's just more motion that I would like to, that I could accomplish with 4 mallets. And so now I'd like to perform for you a piece by Mitchell Peters called Yellow After the Rain. Now this piece is usually the first one that students learn when they're starting 4-mallet technique, because it introduces a lot of the things we just talked about. It has chords, which are notes hit at the same time. It has mallet independence, where you hit each mallet individually on its own like this. And you can do where you hit chords with one hand and play a melody with the other hand. So put that all together and we get this piece, Yellow After the Rain. And that's the marimba for you. Hey there again. So the next instrument I'd like to introduce you to is called the xylophone. Now the name xylophone comes from ancient Greek. Xylo means wood and phone means sound. So like the marimba, it's a pitched instrument, the bars are made of wood, it has these resonators, and it's laid out like a piano, like a keyboard. However, there are a couple of differences. One is the bars are a lot smaller, and also they're a lot thicker. So what that means is this instrument is going to be higher pitched. So unlike the marimba, we're going to use hard plastic mallets to hit this. If we used yarn mallets, like on the marimba, it's just not going to be loud enough, like this. Now if we use a xylophone mallet, same amount of effort, just a different mallet, we're going to get a lot more sound, like this. So one of the styles associated with xylophone is called ragtime music. So ragtime developed in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And it's called ragtime because of banjo style playing back then. And so what they would do is, instead of playing a melody with straight rhythm, like in the Bach at the very beginning that went like this, they would do what's called ragging the rhythm, which means to break up the rhythm of the melody. So it would go like this. So when we break up the rhythm that's outside of this straight, even time, bup, 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 and make it something like bup, 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 or da-da, 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 we call that syncopation in music. So a piece I'd like to play for you to demonstrate this is called Triplets by George Hamilton Green. George Hamilton Green was a famous xylophonist and composer in the 1920s, and he helped popularize this ragtime style of music. So I hope you enjoy. That's the xylophone for you. Hey there again. So here we have a Glockenspiel, also known just as bells. So the name Glockenspiel comes from German. Glocken means bell, and Spiel means play. So the name literally means play bells. So the bars on this are way smaller than the marimba and the xylophone from before, and they're also made of metal. So Glockenspiels come in a variety of different styles. There's one called a wide bar, which the bars are as wide as a xylophone, and it's an easier target to hit, but sometimes it sounds a little boxy is what we sound. And when you hit it, it sounds like the frame is being hit as well. Another style, which we have here, is called flat top, where the bars, the top of it, is literally just flat. And another style is called round top, where the bars, instead of flat like this, are slightly curved at the top. And the reason for that is it's supposed to be an equal distance to the center of the bar, meaning anywhere you hit it on the top is going to create the same sound. Whereas on a flat top like this, if you hit it on the side, it's going to be different than if you hit it right in the middle. So the type of metal that Glockenspiel bars are typically made of is steel. Sometimes cheaper models use aluminum or nickel or a combination, but the better models use some level of steel to create their bars. Now, another trait about this is that metal bars ring for a lot longer. So because of that, we don't always need resonators on them like this. Some Glockenspiels do, but most of them like this do not need them. So one of the cool things about Glockenspiel is that we use a variety of different mallets to play it with. Here I'm holding aluminum mallets, where the top is made of an aluminum metal, but we can also go through many others. We have brass tops, hard plastic, a soft plastic, and also rubber. And hopefully you can hear on the computer speakers or the headphones or whatever you have, but they go through a variety of hardness to softness when you hit the bar. So I'll play a couple for you. That was aluminum. Here's brass. Here's the hard plastic. Here's the softer plastic. And finally, the softest one I have here is rubber. So we can create all sorts of sounds and feelings during the music just based on the mallet that we decide to use. So to show you how the Glockenspiel sounds, I'd like to play for you an excerpt from the opera, The Magic Flute. So an excerpt in music just means taking a little chunk of a larger piece and performing it for you. So, hope you enjoy. And that's the Glockenspiel for you. Hey there again. So the next instrument I'd like to introduce you to is called the Vibraphone. Now the name Vibraphone comes from both Greek and Latin. Phone, like on xylophone, once again means sound. And vibra comes from the Latin word vibre, which looks like vibrar, but it's pronounced vibre, and it means to shake or to vibrate. And so, like the Glockenspiel, which we just saw, the bars are made of metal. And like the marimba, the bars are a lot bigger, so they make a lower pitch. However, there are two main differences between the other mallet instruments we saw and the vibraphone that make it special. The first one is down by my foot, I have a pedal. And that pedal controls this dampening bar that runs underneath all these bars, and it has felt under it. So this dampener mutes the bars when the pedal's not being used. So if I hit the bars without the pedal, it sounds like this. No ringing. However, when I push the pedal down, release the dampening bar, and hit the same bars and let it ring, it sounds like this. And when I lift the pedal up, it mutes it, it dampens it. So the other part of this instrument that's cool is that inside the resonators, there's a little disc, and it creates this fan-like motion because I have a motor here that rotates it. And so when I turn this motor on, it makes the sound in the air feel like it's shaking, like it's vibrating, hence why it's called vibraphone. So when I hit a note with the pedal down and the motor's not on and the fans are still, it sounds like this. But same note, pedal down, I turn on this motor and it goes like this. I can also control the speed of the shaking, so it either sounds slow like this, or I can speed it up. So, now, the vibraphone is closely associated with a style of music called jazz. Now, jazz in a nutshell is this style that formed between the 1920s and the 1960s, and it's based on improvising. And so what that means is you take a melody, and then you can add chords along with it, which are groups of notes hit together. You can add little riffs in the spaces of the melody, which is just a short burst of notes. Or you can change the rhythm and the pitches of the melody and improvise it and decorate it like that. So this piece I'd like to show you all these things is called Autumn Leaves. Now, Autumn Leaves is what we call a jazz standard. And what that means is that every jazz musician knows this song, and so if they walk into a venue and play a concert and someone says, let's do Autumn Leaves, everyone will know it. It is a standard for everyone to know. So here's how the melody for Autumn Leaves goes just by itself without anything being done to it to jazz it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's how the melody goes. Now to jazz it up, we can add chords in the spaces like this, or we can add little riffs, short groups of bursts of notes in between the spaces like this, or we can just change the rhythm of the melody, so instead of it being straight like this, we could just change it to. So put all those elements together, take Autumn Leaves, jazz it up, and you get something like this. So thank you for joining me today to learn about mallet percussion with the Akron Symphony Orchestra. I hope you enjoyed about learning mallet percussion, and I hope you have a great rest of the school year and stay healthy. Take care. Bye.